What's the attitude lesson from birth?
Yeah. First of all, like you said, shout out Dr. Reagan Brackett. She's a doctor, so she's my official retirement plan.
At a girl. That a girl.
Um, and I think my lessons from birth, my mind goes to like when you try to walk and how difficult it is. And it's this whole notion of fall 7 times, stand up 8.
Right.
And as a child, when you tried to walk for the first few times, you failed miserably.
Mm.
But somehow look at you now walking.
Right.
But so many people give up so easily on the first, second step that they never, realize that not only they can walk, they can sprint.
Mm. And yeah, the bottom line is babies never think about failing. Failing is just part of it. And I think that's our lesson for the gappers today that Gary brings to us is that, well, as Les said, you got to know your vitamin. You got to make failure your vitamin. You got to feed on that. And when babies fail, they don't know they fail because we all sit there and encourage them. And I think the other lesson is the reason you kept trying to walk was because there was somebody standing there with their arms out and their hands out. Attitude booster number 1, be nice, encouraging you, saying you can do it, you can do it, you can do it. Gappers, let's make sure we're doing that for the people in our lives. All right, Gary, you mentioned being in 5th grade when your teacher sent you down, but when you were 10 years old, I want you to go back when you were 10 and tell me the attitude lesson in life you learned at 10.
I think at 10, I'm going to go with the golden rule. And I'm going to one-up it, and I'm going to say it's the championship rule. The golden rule is treat others how you want to get treated.
Right.
But I think, everyone is different. Some people want to get treated differently. So I can't treat you how I want to be treated.
Right.
I want to treat you better than you're expected to get treated.
Love it.
So I think that's the championship rule. Treat others better than they want to get treated.
And was there a story when you were 10 that manifested itself in you? Were you not treated well? Were you ever bullied as a kid? How did that come out at 10? What's the story behind that?
So I was always like the peacemaker in school, right? So there was bullies and there was like, the uncool kids. And I was like the cool athlete and I couldn't get in trouble because I always had sports to play. But I had this like this notion to me like don't pick on people that can't defend themselves. And if that went down on my watch, like I was gonna step up and do something about it. And I think that's just always been my MO. Like I'm not a guy who's just gonna sit around and let someone get bullied.
Right. Gary Brackett, the protector.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about. So now you're hopping around a little bit. You're 20. You're in college. You're growing up. Ooh, good times in college when you were 20?
Yeah, good time.
I love it.
Good time.
So what's your attitude lesson for our gappers that are 20? What did you learn when you were 20 about attitude?
So I think I shared it earlier. In your 20s, you're gonna start sowing those seeds, all right? So yes. What deal do you want to make with yourself?
Nice.
Because what you do in your 20s is gonna have ramifications for the rest of your life.
Mm-hmm.
So what deal are you gonna make in your 20s?
I love it. And man, that's probably the most powerful thing you gave us today. Hadn't heard that one. You're making a deal with yourself, whether you know it or not. That's the other thing, too. But now, if you're listening to this podcast, you know it. All right, so now you're 30. You're going, damn, I'm getting old. 30 years old. I'm guessing you were playing for the Colts at that time. I'd love to know your attitude lesson from 30.
So, funny story. So, I retired. I'm 31.
Wow.
9 years in NFL. I retired. My wife is going on her third 14-hour shift in the hospital. My daughter is 5 years old.
Wow.
And I'm coming home from another outing of golf where I stink 120. I'm a few alcoholic beverages in.
Yes.
And my daughter asked me, Dad, what do you want to be when you grow up?
Oh.
And I was like, what? Do you see this ring? Do you see this house, these cars? Like, what are you talking about what I want to be when I grow up? So what I did is I went back to school and I got my MBA.
Yes.
So I think when you're 30s, you should really think about retooling. And so many of us get stuck in our 30s and feel like you're finished learning.
Right.
I've been to school. I've been to college. I got my MBA. I'm in this career. But I think now, what is it, like 5-6 times the average American changes their profession?
Sure.
And I think when you're in your 30s, that's the right age. You probably have children by now. I think being that constant learning, and at 30, that's what for me, is about looking at my toolbox and realizing I've been using a hammer for 30 years.
Ain't that the truth?
And the challenge when using a hammer is everything looks like a nail.
Right.
So getting inside of that toolbox, this is a calculator. What did this do? Oh, a projector, a ruler, and start sharpening those other tools in that toolbox. Because as you get older, you're going to start realizing you're going to need a whole full gamut of tools to start handling some of these challenges. And I think that's what my 30s were all about.
Man, that is such fantastic advice. I always say, you show me a leader that stops learning, I'll show you a leader that's in a rut. And the only thing difference between a rut and a grave are the dimensions. And so your thought about going to the tool, reinventing yourself, so many people that are out there listening to this, you may be walking on the beach, you may be sitting in the sauna, you may be on the treadmill, and I hope that you give a thought to what Gary said. Now, Gary, you're a recent 40-year-old, so we're going to get to play one last thing.
Okay.
I know that you're an entrepreneur. You own several restaurants in town. The Stack Pickle, we got to give a shout out to those. I've had many a great meal and cold beverage there. Again, we're just so grateful to you and your knowledge and what you've brought to us today. But obviously, when you turned 40, I'm sure you had a birthday party and you sat there and went, "Whoo, I'm 40." What is your attitude lesson? What did you say to yourself? Where are you at now with all this?
Yeah. So when I look at leadership, right, I look at three things. I look at are they competent? Right. Are they credible? And can they make a positive impact?
Nice.
And I think by the time you get to 40, you could really answer those three questions. So now in my 40s, it's about making an impact.
I love it. And
now I'm the point guard. Now I want to dish the ball. I want to get other people involved.
You've always wanted to be a point guard. I guarantee it. You've always wanted to be a point guard, right?
Hey, that's the great spot, right? I got the ball, right? And I know what position. Here.
Did you play a little hoop back in the day?
Man, I averaged a double in high school. I was actually a 4 in our system. We were group small school, but man, I was a big. I still play down low even now. But running a point, man, in business and in your life, right?
Yes.
I've had experiences with so much stuff, with grief, with success, with investing, with relationships, with raising kids, and now for me, I see areas when sometimes people are lacking, and some of my friends I see following me and stuff, I just shoot them a call, and then I encourage them, and they're like, man, I never thought about it like that. They think they're in this bubble on social media. They can post, hey, I'm at work hungover. I'm gonna get through this today. Like, you're a leader at work,
right?
What if someone you work with saw that?
Right, crazy.
So I think now just being in a position where I could be the point guard and really try to set people up for success, man. That's what my 40s is gonna be all about.
Well, Gary, I can tell you in honor of your wonderful mother, Reverend Sonia, and your father, you created an impact for the Gappers today. You created an impact on the Get Attitude podcast. This is a podcast that's going to live and I know get played over and over. You gave us more than you were paid for today. I can tell you that for sure. We are very grateful to have you on our podcast. I look forward to raising you up and helping you however I can. And we just want to thank you so much for being a part of the Get Attitude podcast.